Do you have some, are you eating something too? Oh, what are you eating? Nerds? Candy? What? Cereal? Chips. Chips? And she's eating the chips out of your mouth? Ew, Michaela!
I came from the mud, there's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree, there's roots where I stand. Oh, I've been running from the law. Hope they won't shoot me down soon. They sing on a sleepless night. Try to catch me howling at the moon. 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 When it rains, it pours. Water's up to my chin. Won't stop fighting to the very end. Many men try to reach it.
Where are you going? Where are you going, Spuddy Buddy? Where are you going, Spuddy Buddies? Where are you going, Spuddy Buddies? It's another one of the surgeries that we worked on here. I got the fish skin on the bellies here. Let's go put this guy up while I explain something to all my friends out there in the YouTube lands. Go ahead, bud. Get up in there. You gotta stay in your cage, bro. We got the little vet kennel here going, all cleaned up. We've half with cloth, half without, so he doesn't get dirty. It keeps down the bacteria and the infection. But he's doing swimmingly. You guys will learn about that later. The reason I'm popping into this video here is very simple. Number one, thought you guys might like the Abe Lincoln look. I didn't have time to shave everything, so I just did the outer pieces, and now I got this sweet ass Abe Lincoln. Definitely cruising here. So, on another note, I want you guys to look at something in this video, which you're about to see. The first day that I noticed was Saturday, I believe it was November 21st. And this is why I tell everybody that it helps to spend as much time with your animals as humanly possible, because not only does it build that relationship, but it also gives you the ability to know exactly when something's going on with your homies, which means basically I know the personalities of all my animals. Why? I spend all the time in the world with them, all the time that I can. And then I also have my kids and everybody else that raises these animals along with me to spend time with these animals. Now, Bimini was sick and we knew it. We just didn't know what was going on. So I made that call on a Saturday night. And what you're about to see is some videos of the very first day that I knew something was wrong. She was fine hours before. She climbs into bed. She does her thing. And quite frankly, I already knew something was up. I had called the vet that night. By Monday, you see the picture, which you'll see again. Brian's going to put that up for you, with the eyeball pretty much blown up and almost glued shut. And at that point, obviously, we had a starting point, because on Saturday, we had no idea why she was going downhill. We just knew that she was lethargic, and then she wasn't acting normal, and we knew that there was some sort of problem. Now, Bimini's young. You're going to see later on at the end of the video a picture of baby Bimini with my daughter Michaela, and that's pretty much her little monkey over there. Like, that's her human, I should say, because Bimini has accepted Michaela as her human. But you'll see that at the end. So we've had her since she was a premature, tiny little baby. And for something like this to happen at such a young age, it's kind of like a freak thing. We still don't know the background of what went on or why. We're waiting on some test results, which you guys will see later on. But we just wanted to explain to you very simply what goes on here. So these videos you're about to see are basically the very first day when I knew something was going on with Bimini. So it helps to pay attention so that you can know, because we caught this before it got the eyeball. So we already knew something was up 2 days before it actually started to show. Pretty interesting stuff. Go watch the rest of the video. Boom. What's wrong, Mama? Huh? What's wrong, Mama? You're not feeling good? Harley, back up. You're not feeling good? Okay. You got your person, Ben?
Yeah, but I'm trying to go knit.
We lost our tempers. And I said I didn't care to see me. He said the same. We haven't spoken to each other.
You gonna let me touch you, Ben? Oh, now that she's here, I can touch you.
Yeah, because I'm her guard, Daddy. I'm her guard.
You can be a little old for a lot of things. You're never too old to be afraid.
That's true. I've always been afraid of our basement.
All right, dudes, dudettes. So I do a lot of medical stuff on the channel. Generally speaking, it's simple medical procedures, or it's procedures for other people's animals that I help the vet out with, because we try and help out as many people as we can, because it's a common thread for most vets to not see exotic animals, especially when it comes to the dangerous ones, i.e. venomous stuff, primates, big cats, things like that. I tend to hang around some people that really do care about any and all animals, and that's why I stick to the vets that I do. A vet is a really good thing, but it's also a really bad thing if you can't find the right one. There's plenty of vets out there that have too much pride. If you're a vet, don't be offended by it. If you're offended by it, maybe you should take a look at yourself. I don't know what to tell you, regardless of anything, but there is a sense of pride, too much pride, that goes into this profession that clouds up the judgment of a lot of vets. And I'm not saying this lightly. I'm saying this over the last 20-something years of personal experience with many different vets that I've dialed down. And then I've had 3 over the years. One has since moved away. That was Klarsfeld, probably the best reptile vet in the country, hands down. I had Mater. He actually taught Klarsfeld a lot of what he did, but I think Klarsfeld took it to a whole nother level when it came to the reptiles. And then I had Mater down in the Keys, who he actually did his residency in primates. So I used him for a long time. He retired, but these were all phenomenal vets. That didn't mean that I didn't have to go through a bunch of vets that were not phenomenal. I've had many occasions where I actually had some reptiles killed from a vet, gave them some ivermectin shots, found out later on that that was toxic to the reptile, and the dosages given and the way that it was given. So mistakes can be made if too much pride gets involved. If you ever have a vet that pretends to know everything about everything, take your shit and run in the opposite direction. The vet that I have very clearly will tell me all the time, I don't know this, let me consult and figure it out. And that's okay, because when you have vets, generally speaking, they're going to be dealing with dogs and cats. And dogs and cats over and over again, that's just fine. So if we have big cats or even the lesser cats that aren't your domesticated cats, then those go along kind of in line with what's going on with the normal cats. Most vets can see that stuff. When you get into the primates and other things, it becomes a little bit more difficult. I had an emergency over the weekend. My lemur, I say my lemur, it's actually my daughter's lemur. This lemur, that's her person right there. We had an emergency, she went downhill. I couldn't figure out why. It's the first time that I couldn't do the process of deduction to try and dial down as to what was going on with the animal. She just wasn't acting normal. She was fine in the afternoon, and then by 2 hours later in the evening time when we took her out to do her normal playtime with Chizo, the other monkey, she just went straight to the pillow and laid down. Generally speaking, that doesn't happen without 2.5 hours of rambunctious play where she destroys everything in the house. So I paid attention to her. She wasn't eating as much. She was acting lethargic. I was in contact with the vet and we were trying to figure out what was going on here. So we did our normal stuff. Now, 2 days into it, I find out that her eyes are a little glossy. The second day, her eyes were a little glossy. Seemed a little abnormal. I wasn't worried too much about it. We were more worried about what was going on, if there was some sort of infection, viral infection. It becomes a process that's very hard to eliminate, even for vets. That's why I say if a vet tells you with 100% certainty, they know everything about everything, take your shit and run in the opposite direction. Even my vet, we had to make some phone calls to make sure that we got the proper care. Now, what ended up happening was, obviously, she got some sort of infection in her eye. Turn around so you can see. And it is very bad. It's extremely bad. So the first day, her eyes looked normal, both of them. The second day, the eyes looked a little glossed over. And the third day, there was redness around this eye. And then within hours, the eyeball exploded. Now today, she has her eyeball open. I'm going to put up a picture right now. That's what her eyeball looked like when I first came in and noticed that it was the eye. So at least now we have a direction to go in. We obviously know that it's the eyeball. Now what I do with all of my stuff, it's expensive, but you gotta do what you gotta do for your animals. What I'll do to make shit easier for me is I have a microchip in all my stuff for 2 reasons. Number one, ain't nobody taking my shit without not knowing. Not that anybody's ever stolen my stuff, but it's a possibility. We live in a world where people suck, so it's a possibility. But I also have this microchip reader. There's a microchip in her back, and I can read that, and it'll tell me her temperature right there at the top. So she's at 102.6. Her normal standing mean body temperature, which would be your overall average body temperature, should be sitting right around 99 degrees. Yesterday she was at 104.6. That's extremely high. And obviously we need to fix the fever. We need to bring that down so her brain doesn't cook, but we also need to fix the infection in the eye. I wasn't even gonna film this because I was more worried about my animal than I was worried about getting some content for YouTube. What I do care about is my animal. So it wasn't my first thought to grab the phone when I took her to the vet. My first thought was fix my damn animal. I didn't care about the content. But now we kind of got a grasp on what's going on here. We got a grasp on how we're gonna fix it. And then obviously, like I said, I'm gonna double check the temperature. It's still 102.6. So the temperature is going down a bit. We have a wide array of medications that we have to give her. So I'm gonna let Michaela hold her because that's, again, her monkey. So we're gonna do some prednisone. Prednisone is a steroid. It's also an anti-inflammatory. The shit works wonders, but it's also damaging if you're not using proper dosages. So please, again, ladies and gentlemen, go to your vet, find a good vet. If there's anything that I can say or anything that anybody can take away from any of this, it's please, good Lord, find a good vet if you have exotic animals. And then pay attention to what's going on, because everything you do with medication, just like within people, you want to make sure it's accurate 100% of the time. So we're getting 0.3 right now. We're doing that for 5 days. Then we're doing that 3 times a day. Then we're going to drop it to 2 times a day. We're going to drop the milliliters down to 0.2. So this stuff is easy to give because she kind of likes it. Tastes good. I know, Mama, you don't feel good. Let's get some in you. Yes. What I really want to do is get in that mouth. She might not let me in there. Go ahead.
Okay, Mama.
All right, so that's one down. Forgive me, everybody here has a cold today. Next we're gonna do is doxycycline. And always double check to make sure that you're giving the proper dosages, even though I already know what we're giving, but still, we want to double and triple check so you make sure you don't over or underdose your animal. This we give every 12 hours, so it's once in the morning, once at night. Now, obviously, this does not mean that she's out of the woods. She's doing terribly. She's not feeling too hot. We're going to pay extra special attention to her, which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to see, well, you've already seen the cat video because that's going to go out first. You know what's going on with the reptiles and stuff. This stuff never ends. We don't ever get a chance to take a break. And every time you think you're about to take a break, that's not how it rolls out. I got birthdays coming up. I got Christmas coming up. I got Thanksgiving coming up. We got all kinds of stuff coming up. And we just want to make sure that we can spend some time with family as well. But chances are, just like usual, I won't get that time.
Are you looking for something sweet?
Yes. Unfortunately enough, I don't always get that time. I miss out on a lot, and that's kind of the sacrifice that I have to make. They understand, they don't like it, especially this one reminded me yesterday that I didn't make it to her birthday last year because I gotta work. And especially when things like this are going on, it makes it extremely difficult to do all of it at the same time. So I guess what I'm trying to say is for anybody out there that wants to get into this stuff, remember, you can't just walk away from it whenever it's convenient for you. So if you want to go out and party at night, if you want to hang out on the weekends with your buddies and your friends and all that good stuff, this isn't the industry for you because there ain't no such thing as hanging out. There ain't no such thing as vacations. I don't even know how some of these people do it, the amount of times that they travel with the collections that they have. That's why you usually see me stick around people that I know and trust and people that I know take care of their stuff. I like the friends that you guys obviously see me hang around with on my YouTube, as well as the people that you don't see me hang around with, but I make sure that I stick around people that actually truly do care about the animals because that's what we're supposed to be here for. Unfortunately enough, that's not always the case. Most people don't care about the animals. The only thing they care about is the attention that it may bring or whatever dollars they think it may bring, which I guarantee you, ladies and gentlemen, I ain't getting rich off any of this stuff. And if I was, it would all go back to the animals anyway. Every dollar that I make seems to go to these animals and these animals, regardless of the situation. It's just the way the cookie crumbles. And I don't mind. It's the life that I chose. I enjoy it 100% every step of the way. But this part of it, I don't enjoy. Unfortunately enough, and I've never had this problem before. For the last 15 years of dealing with primates, I've never once had this particular issue, and it was actually one of the first times that I couldn't even give a direction as to what was going on, why things were happening, what the deal was. I had no idea. And that's a scary feeling, especially when you know that there's a problem, you know that they're not acting right, but you can't really gauge what the problem is, where it's coming from, or why it's happening. So at least now, at least now, to some extent, we know what the deal is. Can you eat that for me, Mama? I know. It's good though. Go ahead. Go ahead, Mama. I know, baby. So she's not really wanting to eat. I'm just going to put her right there in the corner of her mouth because she's going to have to lick that off.
That should look at that. You have it down.
I think I'm going to do this in a Pedialyte next time so I can just shoot it down the back of her throat. Go ahead, eat that.
No.
It's fine.
It's just jelly.
You know, we're staying on. I know, babe.
It's okay, Mama.
Salmon.
Too much.
Let's strip it off. Yeah. Alright, so next time I'll do this in a different mix. Make it easier for me to just fire it down the back of her throat, but we're stuck where we're at right now, so she's gonna have to eat the rest of this. Go ahead, you're gonna have to lick that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Good. Stop moving there, Mama. Alright, got a little bit left to go. Come on, Mama. Don't lick that.
There's medicine.
You gotta get that off your furry face. All right. Alright, so that's the doxycycline. Still got some on her face.
Maybe.
You gotta lick the rest.
You gonna give some water in the bowl? Huh? Want water?
Come on, Shane.
There you go.
Number one goal here, we have Pedialyte running. We gave some fluids yesterday. I don't want her to get dehydrated. The more dehydrated that anybody gets, including ourselves, the worse things get. So you can't really battle any infection or anything if you're dehydrated, because what ends up happening is it starts messing neurologically upstairs. It's going to cause some problems, which you're going to see in time with this other cat, how things pan out and why they panned out the way they did with the cat that's in the garage right now that I'm taking care of as well. So now we got to do a load of eye drops and some ointment. The eyeball already looks 20 times better, so I'm happy with that. But obviously we're worried because, as you can see, she's clouded to shit. Now yesterday was even worse, so you couldn't even see the pupil, and you can see the pupil's dilated like a mofo. So it's not doing the job that it's supposed to do. It's not retracting in any way, shape, or form when the light hits it. So hopefully whatever's causing this infection, which we'll know soon because we did all of our blood panels for our CBC and everything else that we got going on, that's going to go out to the lab. So we're going to run the ointment last. There's 2 drops and then there's an ointment. The ointment goes on last because if I put the ointment in first, it's gonna block out the drops, obviously. So we do this every 4 hours. So I want to space out what we're about to do with these drops. So I'm gonna take a look at her and we're gonna make sure that the other one went in. That's good. And then again, like I said, that's Michaela's monkey right there, or vice versa. Michaela's that monkey's person. So that monkey chooses her overall. So we're just gonna have her spend some time, make sure she's comfortable, snuggled up. The good thing is that the temperature's gone down from 104.6 to 102 point, whatever it was, 102.4, which is absolutely astronomical in my eyes because it kind of unloads a little bit of stress. There's always gonna be stress there. It's something that people don't often understand. And it's why I've been absent for a week on the social media, is because once all this stuff starts to pile on with all the animals that I already have to care for and make sure are doing well, what ends up happening is, of course, when it rains, it pours. So I'm trying to deal with a collection of animals that doesn't even belong to me, and as well as my own. So yes, it sucks when the other animals get sick as well. It sucks to have a box brought to your house with stuff that's already dead inside of it. That stuff hurts, but at the same time, the connection isn't as strong as I have with the homies that I raised from babies. Not that it's not there, it's just you're a little bit more desensitized to something that you've never met before. It still sucks every single step of the way, but this sucks way worse because even though with the other stuff as well, it never allows my mind to shut off, especially with this much stuff all at once, my mind never stops. So even at night, I work as hard as I possibly can. That one's still kind of doing this thing. I work as hard as I possibly can to stay on top of everything, but my mind's always constantly wondering, did I miss something? Did I miss something? So I'm constantly going in, constantly checking things, constantly running through my list, which I suggest if you have a collection like this, you get some sort of app, use your notes, whatever it is, to tell yourself what it is you're forgetting, what it is you need to do, make yourself a list of what's going on per day so you can stay on top of every single animal. Because I promise you, if you miss small things, could be just the regular husbandry of an animal. If you don't clean it often enough, it can get sick for that reason. If you're not applying the proper amount of temperature or heat, if you're not applying the proper amount of heat, you can have a problem there. If your overall ambient temperature, it's all kinds of stuff that I'm constantly going in to check. I have to make sure that the room is heated to a specific temperature. I have to make sure I'm not cooking anything, but I also have to make sure that I'm not lowering anything to a point where they can't metabolize. I got another room that goes on. Then when you have temperature dropping, then you have to worry about the nighttime stuff here in Florida, because in Florida, the temperatures drop. They don't drop till 2 or 3 in the morning. So if I turn my heaters on at 11 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock in the morning, and I crank them up and get the temperatures to 87 degrees, 88 degrees, 90 degrees, it's too hot. And then what ends up happening at 3 o'clock in the morning, the temperature plummets. I say plummets, but we're in Florida, so it gets to the low 60s, and then it'll even out my room and it'll bring it down too low. So I'm constantly having to get up and check the heaters and go through the room to make sure that we stay at a constant 84 degrees, which is a real pain in the ass. But small things like that, if you overlook them, you're gonna have problems every single time. So it doesn't help when my own homies have something like this going on, and I'm sure it's an incredible amount of pain and discomfort from my little munchkin here. And the ointment itself is gonna kind of stay in there and hold everything else. I'm gonna wipe across there. And that's it for Mama for right now. But I can't stress the importance enough. People ask all the time to help out. I appreciate everybody out there. I'm gonna figure out a way to do something where you guys can help if you want to, where it doesn't feel like I'm just taking. I do have a couple of people that are friends of mine that do help out tremendously. If it wasn't for these people, Kat, Donna, people like that, I wouldn't even be able to get through. Obviously, my family helps out when they need to. I'm not particularly apt for taking from everybody in the whole world. I'm going to try and figure something out where we can all, get together and do something, where I can do something for you guys. Eventually, I'll figure it out. I do appreciate everybody out there offering the help. It's just, I don't know why, it's just a little uncomfortable. But for me, I've always been on the aspect of, if my stuff needs taken care of, it's going to get taken care of. Whether I have to work 10 times harder to make that happen, it'll happen. Nothing ever goes ignored. Nothing ever is going to go unnoticed. Nothing ever goes untaken care of. Like, whatever needs to happen, happens. If extra money needs to come, then the extra money will come, whether that's, me working double, triple, quadruple overtime to get that done. It is what it is. So I try and stay on top of everything that I can, but I am gonna figure out a way for you guys to help. Maybe too, we're getting close to the point where this collection is kind of at a point where it's almost at a standstill. I do have to worm a couple other things, and then it seems like I have maybe 10 or 15 snakes that are still being force fed or assist fed. Hopefully those guys will start picking up food soon. Once everybody's good to go and checked out, I'll be looking for new homes, so maybe we'll do some sort of a raffle or something, but that's gonna come with an extensive background thing, because I'm not gonna send animals out to die after I spent so much time taking care of them, which is why I don't import, export, or sell animals anymore, because that was a big problem that I had as far as my moral compass went. The money was great, the people weren't so great. A lot of people were. A lot of people weren't, so it's 50-50. So maybe we'll do something on that end of the spectrum. I believe everybody out there that watches my channel is on the same page as I am, where they do care about the animals. It seems like a lot of people do. I have a lot of people that reach out to ask me questions, to ask for help, and there is no shame in that, guys. I still do it to this day. I've been doing this since I was born, and to this day, I still call and ask for help anytime I need it. There is no shame in me. I have people that I have trained to do certain things that I call now to get answers for on things that I trained them for back in the day, because they took it to a different level than I did. There's no shame in that. You can ask questions to anybody. It doesn't make you a bad person. It's actually easier to learn that way than it is to go through and sift through what's on any social media outlet and or Google itself, any of that stuff. You have to really sift through all of that information to find out what's good, solid information, or what's some bullshit that some random person put up on the internet. Remember, it's the internet, ladies and gentlemen. Just because it's on there doesn't make it true. So it's a lot easier to call somebody that's dealt with it before. A lot of people out there know that I will help you out. People have called, people have reached out. I've tried to help out as many people as I possibly can. I'm pretty sure I'm hitting everybody out there. But again, ladies and gentlemen, keep doing what you're doing. Thank you guys very much for paying attention to anything that I'm doing. It's very well appreciated. Everybody send out some prayers for my little fur homie. I'm sure she's gonna be okay. But at the end of the day, she's not feeling good. And we don't like to see it at all. It's stressing me out, more so than anybody would ever care to know. But, send out some prayers for little homies. Comment below. I'll get back on the comments. I know I didn't really get them on the last one because I've had this, the cat, all the other animals. We just really haven't had time. I haven't even had time to sit at a computer or spend 10 seconds on social media. Really isn't my first thing that I do every day when I wake up, or the last thing that I do when I go to sleep. If I have some time for it, I'll get on there. Usually I have a little bit more time. Obviously, these last couple of weeks have not panned out like that. But I will get back on it as soon as possible. I'll answer the old comments, and then again, comment below anything you guys need. I'm always here. Thank you guys very much. Sorry for the depressing episode, but if I got to deal with it, so do you. Boom.